everyone, thanks so much for being here. I'm instructor Dwayne Jenkins. In today's video lesson, I'm going to show you the intro to Crazy Train. A little bit of a tribute to Ozzy, who unfortunately passed away a few weeks ago. Actually died on July 22nd. And so I wanted to do a little bit of tribute to him, to say thanks for all his great influence that he had on me, you know, when he was in Black Sabbath. I've got my Black Sabbath t-shirt on here, I don't know if you can see that, but his big influence on me as a teenager, Black Sabbath, and then of course when he went solo and he got Randy, and then, you know, Jakey Lee with Bark of the Moon, and Zakk Wylde, and, you know, so Ozzy is just phenomenal, great loss to the world and the music industry in general. So I wanted to do a little bit of tribute to him. When he came out and with Blizzard of Ozz in 1980, nobody really had any, you know, had any inclination about Ozzy. They didn't think he was going to do too well, but luckily he had Sharon, and between him and her, they got married, fell in love, all that stuff, and were able to find Randy. They put out Blizzard of Ozz, Blizzard of Ozz, and they, you know, created Crazy Train, which is just one of the ultimate guitar riffs of all time. I think Guitar World magazine did a poll a while back of like the top 10 guitar riffs, and I believe Crazy Train was number 2, so that just shows you how influential it is. And it was great, and when it came out it was a breath of fresh air, because the way that Randy plays is very different compared to the way that Tony plays. So I think that's one thing that really helped Ozzy kind of get back out there, because he didn't really sound like Black Sabbath. He kind of, but the guitar playing was a little bit different. So, and that was a big tribute to Randy, who unfortunately, you know, died a few years later after that in that plane crash back in 1982, which is kind of interesting because in 1983 is when Mental Health from Quiet Riot went big and started that whole, you know, hair metal thing in the 80s. And Quiet Riot was actually a band that Randy had formed with Kevin DuPro before he went and played with Ozzy. So it's kind of interesting to wonder, you know, how that might have sounded had he have been on it. And it's kind of interesting to think that the band that he started is what started that whole, you know, metal of the 80s thing, because when that album went #1 Mental Health. So, alright, so with all that being said, let's get on to the lesson of the intro to Crazy Train. Alright, so we're going to start right here in the F sharp, 2nd fret. If you were to play like a power chord right here, F sharp, okay? Now what I love about Randy is he uses the pinky. That's what I really like about this, because he was classically trained, so his playing was a lot different than Tony's, who was more like blues and jazz. So what we're going to do is we're going to have our index finger, 2nd fret of the 6th string, and we're going to use that as kind of like a jumping off point to some of these other notes. So we're going to go 2, 2, and then like almost like a power chord, right? At the 4 on the 5th string, so we're going to go 2, 2, 4, 2, and then 5, 2. So as you can see how I'm coming back to this note right here. Okay, 2, 2, 4, 2, 5, 2, 4, 2. Okay, that's the first part. Let's try that again. 2, 2, 4, 2, 5, 2, 4, 2. Then we're going to play the 2 that's underneath it on the 5th string. Okay, and we can probably just bar that if you'd like, or you can bring your finger down, doesn't really matter, I just kind of bar it. And then you're just going to go 2, 5, 4, 5, 2, 5, 4, open. Okay? So if you break it down into 2 sections, the first section would be 2, 2, 4, 2, 5, 2, 4, 2, and then 2, 5, 4, 5, 2, 5, 4, open. Now what you can do is you can either move your finger down to the 5th string when you play that, or you could just kind of bar these 2 strings like this with your index finger, which is ever easiest for you, okay? If you could bar it, then you don't have to move it, then you can focus all your attention on these fingers. Now in order to really bring your pinky up like that, I recommend taking your elbow and bringing it in like this, okay? And if you're not real comfortable with this, if it feels a little uncomfortable, you're probably doing it correct. Because I remember when I learned this a long time ago, it was kind of felt uncomfortable to me too. But eventually you'll get it. Your hands will get it. And keep your hand in this position like this. See how my hands, kind of like my fingers are parallel to the fretboard, and my arm goes back, and my elbow is in. Okay, not like this, but like this. Okay, and that way you can spread out your fingers. Okay, because that's the thing about Randy. You know, when you come from a classical background that he came from, that's how they play. They play with their fingers like this. Okay. So what you want to do is try to get that from 2 to 5, 2 to 5 stretch, okay? And it might take a little bit for you to get that, but just if you work on it, you'll get it, okay? So once again, 2, 2, 4, 2, 5, 2, 4, 2, 2, 5, 4, 5, 2, 5, 4, open. Now I'll show you this hand. Look at what this hand's doing here, right here. Now what you do with the opening riff is you play that like 3.5 times. So if you look at it in 2 sections, you go, this would be 1. So you do that 3 times. And on the 4th one, you'll only do a half, okay? You only do the first section, you don't do the second section, and then you're going to go to this chord here, the D chord, 5th fret, and then up to the E chord on the 7th fret, okay? So that whole opening riff will go like this. 1, 2, 3.5. Alright, now that might take some time if you, especially if you're not used to using the pinky. I would highly recommend you use your pinky. And what I used to do is I used to take my knee and I would kind of do this, like the splits, like this, okay? And when I first started, I could only go like this. But over time, you know, like let's say you're watching TV or something, just kind of do this as an exercise. Just an exercise to kind of stretch out your fingers a little bit. You know, if you're just anywhere you're sitting down, relaxing, watching TV or whatever, you know, doing something that's not guitar related, just go like this. And now as you can see, I can kind of stretch my fingers all the way. You know, and this is a really good exercise. It worked for me. Give it a try. It might help you. It'll help you to stretch your fingers out. Okay, it'll help you to get that pinky going. You know what I mean? All right, just a little something I wanted to tell you about. A little story that kind of reminded me about when I was a teenager. Okay, I was getting into Black Sabbath, the AC/DC, Kiss. You know. And going to the record store was a big deal back then, you know, going to the record store, getting some records and stuff like that. I don't know if it's quite as much of a deal nowadays, but back then they had them all over the place, and just going to the record store and getting tapes, records, stuff like that was a big deal. So I go to the store with my mom, and my mom is very conservative, churchgoer kind of person, you know. And she tells me, okay, you can get a record. I'm like, all right. So I'm looking through the Black Sabbath albums, you know. I'm like, these are all good. You know, the first one, Black Sabbath, the second one, Paranoid, Master Reality, Volume 4, you know, and I'm thinking, which one should I get? Which one should I get? And I happen to flip back through them, and I see that they have their Greatest Hits album, okay? So, of course, naturally, if you're going to get one, you might as well get that one. So I pulled that one out, and I don't know if you're aware of it or not, but their Greatest Hits album back then is called We Sold Our Soul for Rock and Roll, right? What a great name for an album, you know? So I look at it, and I'm like, oh, this is all the albums in one, all the great songs from all their albums in one. This is perfect, like a double album, you know? So I told my mom, Mom, can I get this? This is what I want to get, this right here. And she looks at it. We sold our soul for rock and roll. And she looks at me like, we might need to go to church on Sunday. All right, let's get back to the lesson. Because you can see that pinky is really doing some work in there. And that was great about this guitar song, is this guitar riff, is the fact that it really utilizes that pinky. So notice how my elbow's in. Bring your elbow in, because it allows the pinky to come up, right? And make sure your thumb is kind of in the back like this. All right, that's how I have it. And then that way I can really stretch my fingers out. And then once you get that, and that's the rhythm. We'll do that for another video. But the main thing is just getting that opening riff down first. Alright, so there we go, the opening riff to Crazy Train. Hope you guys learned that. If you have any questions, be sure to let me know. You can leave me in the comments below. You can contact me on my website at dwaynesguitarlessons.com. I would highly recommend checking that out because my website has a lot of great things on it. I've got my blog that has a lot of lessons. I've got videos on there. I've got my books that I've authored on there. I offer guitar lessons, so I would highly recommend check that out. I'll leave that link in the comment below, and I have my books and all kinds of really cool stuff on my website at dwaynesguitarlessons.com, so check that out. That'll really help you out with your learning. If you have any questions, be sure to let me know. Subscribe to the channel, click the notification button for future notifications, and like the video and all that good stuff. You know what to do, so thank you so much for being here. I'm Dwayne Jenkins from Dwayne's Guitar Lessons. Keep practicing, and I'll see you next time.